Yeah, buddy. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Childish coming back with that episode 14, Critical Thinking with Childish series. We're ready to get it right, get it tight. Y'all ready for this? Let's do it. All right. So this topic should be fairly short in comparison to my other critical thinking videos. So hopefully, it's one of those topics that's just kind of bland. Take it for what it's worth, and hopefully you can utilize it. I believe this kind of goes along the mid to late, I would say mid stage of the game. When it comes to end game, talking about balancing units, hybrid unit stats, and balancing the substats and stuff like that. I find that in the end game, it really you don't have to put too much effort in balancing the substats or certain stats, for example, because of the fact that it's the high end runes are going to have 4 to 5 percentage based stats just across the board, and overall you're going to get a variety of runes that'll give you what you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it up. We'll talk about the concept in general, and then we'll just kind of showcase a few units here, just to kind of get across the point. So, balancing the units. What's the important? Why is that considered to be viable in the game? Right. We've already talked about this many times with regards to my dungeon optimization videos and arena optimization videos. Balancing your team in a dungeon, providing a wide variety of hostile effects as well as beneficial effects, is going to yield you with more consistent wins. Arena, obviously, that balance can be looked at a little bit differently. You're not going to, sit there and try to balance, 2 healers with 2 support, or 2 attack with 2 healers, or whatever like that. You're basically just going to find the 4 that synergistically work together. Okay. But when we go back on the concept of balancing runes and the subset of those runes specifically for support units, I think that is pretty darn important, especially if you are trying to how do I say, if you're trying to utilize a particular unit to as a distraction for the opposing team, or I say as a distraction for the opposing team, or if you're in the dungeon, just that some of their buffs are just so beneficial that you just can't do the zone without it. So let me go ahead and see if I can just kind of get into it and explain a little bit better. So, balancing the runes. Like right now, you're taking a look. This is a support-based unit, right? And you see an absurd amount of hit points, but obviously evolving into 6-star, and looking at its stats here. Even though I have a high amount of hit points, normally you'll see a common thing with a lot of the hit point based monsters is that their stats for the hit points are ridiculously high, but because they're so focused on hit points, they don't really have any kind of balance with attack or defense or whatever. Now, mind you, 1,000 attack for a 6-star unit is not really good at all, but as we know, this is a support unit, so I'm not really too focused on that. Well, my main concern here is actually the defense, and the reason, the main point of this whole video is simply this. We are at a stage of the game, and again, we're talking about mid stages, where people are starting to come to their own, finding the units that are considered the top units or whatnot, and they're starting to optimize them to do whatever they're trying to do: maximum damage, maximum support, whatever. So if you are constantly taking certain units, support-based units that are and trying to focus on trying to get one particular stat really high, then that might be good in certain situations, but overall, over the long run, you will have some issues. Here's my point. Having a high hit point monster with low defense can be very strong for whatever you use, but if you're trying to use it for arena defense or whatever, it can be a liability. Okay, just like anything, attack, whatever. But we're talking about support. So, with regards to the units that have a certain amount of hit points but no defense, any particular unit that an opposing team specs for, an absurd amount of burst damage, it's basically gonna showcase in the fight, because they just do a ton of damage. Okay, I guess the easiest example, and I don't have the unit here, is the Water Phoenix. So the Water Phoenix is one of those units that everybody's fusing, and they have a couple of different specs and whatnot, and it's an attack-based monster, right? So you can do an attack or support depending on what you're trying to do with the AoEs or whatnot. But the one thing that I always notice is that sometimes they're looking at runes and they're putting on a certain rune with a little bit of a maybe like 12% attack percentage rune on a substat, which is good. But they might have another rune that has like 10% or 9% attack, but it also has 6% defense, 8% hit points, 9% accuracy. But they're like, oh, I can't take that. That's not good, because this one gives me an extra 2% attack, so that's going to be great. That's not necessarily the case. Okay, I believe if you have one of those situations where you have a rune with 4 percentage-based substats and then another rune that has a higher substat of what you're looking for, don't necessarily put that on real quick. Okay, the balancing of the runes and the substats you get are going to be crucial in surviving certain attacks. So, for example, this one I have with this unit, this is really, really strong in arena for me, because it has a really good amount of defense and a really good amount of hit points. So if I got a Lucian or other fire-based units that can ignore defense, or just having a certain amount of burst damage, I'm not too concerned about leaving Jameer as my only win unit to have the fire-based attack units or fire-based arena defense units focus on him. Why? Because he can take a hit. And even if they have ignore defense, he has enough hit points to outlast a round or two of attacks. Okay? You'll see this commonly with Copper, who's the Wind Living Armor, right? A lot of people love him, a lot of people use him. Super strong in the arena defense. However, for the people that are mid to late stages that are coming up, starting to get the units that ignore defense, they're going to be able to counter that particular unit by providing another unit that can ignore defense. And when you have a unit spec for damage that ignores defense versus a unit that focuses on just increasing his defense and not any other stat, he's pretty much a paper tank. Or he's pretty much a paper unit. He's a liability, basically. I can't even begin to describe how many Wind Living Armors and Water Phoenixes I one-shotted because they were so concerned about getting their defense up so they can do that big Thunder Strike, but they had no hit points. Or with the Water Phoenix, they're so occupied on trying to get all their damage up, but it didn't really matter because they were on the defensive team, and your arena offensive team is spec for speed, and they had base speed, they had no speed modifiers. So by the time somebody like me or somebody else attacks them, they're going for the highest damage dealer, taking them out before they even get a chance. I've seen it in my videos, I've seen it in everybody else's videos. It's out there. So am I saying, spec your unit for speed? No. I'm saying is when you're looking at two different runes and what you should put on, you should find the one that more or less has a nice overall balance of what you're looking for, focusing on the primary stat, but consider those secondary stats when kind of increasing. So let's go through this one here. We already kind of talked about Jameer, 1,000 defense, 32,000 hit points, very, very good. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at Clara here. 1,400 attack, which is pretty darn good for 5-star. But one thing that you won't see from a lot of people is, 600 plus defense on a 5-star unit. And why is that the case? Because on certain runes like this, okay, and this one, 16% defense, 15% defense, 6% defense. Okay, I'm not just all focused about, okay, I got to get the most accuracy, got to get the 6-star one with the most hit points. Okay, I'm looking for the overall balance of runes. Okay, this one is great here. Love it, love it, love it. So that's definitely a unit that you could tell here that is definitely trying to maximize the overall balance. Okay, next one up, I'm gonna showcase Miss Shannon. So for everyone that's freaking out, wondering, Childish, the fuck you got despair runes on? That's stupid. Okay, no, it's not. I made a video about a month and a half ago, talking about Shannon being the next big thing because we are utilizing her secondary attack with a reduced cooldown time of 3 turns to utilize it as an AoE stun in addition to her first attack, and it's working out beautifully. So here's another situation here. Take a look. Balanced stats. Obviously, I don't care about attack on this one, but here's a great one here. 6-star defense with 20% resistance. Really, really awesome. This one has been the kind of the Debbie Downer for this, for that rune. This one here, another good one. It's only 4-star, but if it comes down to a 5-star hit point rune at plus 12 for 32% hit points versus a 4-star plus 9 rune for 23% hit points and 13% defense, I'm going to go for 23% hit points and 13% defense. Okay, this one here, just kind of a fail. I haven't found anything better with defense or hit point stats. But then we got, a 6-star rune here. So, actually, if I remember correctly, Rena's 6-star rune here. Yeah, so this will probably eventually go on, Shannon, when I get it on here. But right now, I'm just focused on, finding runes that balance. So, taking a look. Her hit points are a little bit lower because I haven't fully upgraded. Normally, she is sitting at about 12k. I just switched out some runes, but 10k at 800 defense is pretty darn good for this particular unit. And why is this important? For me, now that they're getting ready to change the makeup of the giants, zones and stuff like that, I need to make sure that some of these units are really, really balanced and they're not getting one-shotted by particular units. Alright. I believe there was one more that I wanted to talk about. Oh, despite the 800 DPS or 800 defense, we got the 56% resistance there, so that's pretty cool. I think those three were the kind of the main ones I wanted to talk about. The only other one that we could hit up is Hua. So she's obviously an attack unit, but I utilize her for support and focus on getting the accuracy up and whatnot. Same thing again. Here we got another defense. Here I'm not. So take a look at this one. Obviously, 35% crit damage is not going to help me if I am, trying to get my damage up. But I have this unit set for support, so I will take a crit damage of 35. Excuse me, at 35%. If it comes with 50% accuracy, 4% hit point, and 4% defense, versus a 4-star rune that I might have. Like, what do I got here? Yeah, hit point, attack. So it's a little bit lower, 10%, and then a hit point. So you can tell why this one is the optimal one. Accuracy is important for me. She's spec'd for dungeons, so that's why I do it. Again, great one here. A little bit of double-digit defense and accurate and attack. Okay, so very good. All right, so that is pretty much it. Just the focusing of balancing units to substats. And again, I'm making the disclaimer. This is for the mid-stage game. If you are in the super end game, if you're sitting at the second, 2-3-star conqueror, looking to be on the Guardian, you should have a variety of 6-star runes that have a well-rounded amount of stats, and just getting the best rune for the slot for you is probably going to be optimal. But when you're at the mid to late stages and you're trying to get your DPS up, do so, but do so with caution. Consider the fact that taking a rune that might have 2 or 3% of a primary stat you're looking for, but have a combined total of 25 to 30% of 3 different stats might actually be beneficial. This might be a very, very controversial topic that I might get a lot of flack about, but I've seen it time and time and again. How many arena videos have you seen where I basically should have died multiple times on certain units that are considered more attack or support-based units, and they just outlast a big hit, or it's just random. One of the best videos I could think of is Auto B9 series. I think it was Magic, and I had Lulu in there in the group for the Hall of Magic B9. So if you guys remember that video, she got down to like 2% hit points, I think 3 or 4 times in the video. And of course, it was not a combination of just her hit points, but the amount of speed, the defense, the hit points, all that stuff just kind of made sense. So again, and then kind of going back to certain monsters that are, their primary stats, to just kind of one point here. So obviously for like units like Arnold, Fire Death Knight, whose main skill is based on hit points, something like that, yes, you're going to focus on the primary stat. But for the middle stage kind of units, and you're in the mid game trying to get those runes and whatnot, don't leave out the fact that some of those balanced stats are, some of those stats all around will be good, will be beneficial. Oh, boom. Looks like we got the chest open here. Oh, come on. Oh my God, such a dick tease. I'm telling you something. Let me do it one time. I've been looking for 6-star rage runes forever. Oh. Let's take that. Okay, we got it again. Let's do it again. I'm feeling lucky. Uh-oh. Ooh. Alright. I'll have to take a look to see if that's an upgrade. I don't know. I'll play around with that. But anyways, guys, again, thank you all for taking the time to watch the whole video. This is kind of one of those topics that I think kind of gets implemented by accident, but we really don't consider, really thinking about it. And if you're in that mid-stage game, you're starting to, how do I say, remove runes and starting to put on those 4 to 5 star runes, but you still have some of those 3-star runes that you +9 or +12 or whatever, and they might be a 3-star legend rune with 4 percentage-based substats in addition to the primary substat you're looking for. And even though you got a 5-star rune with an extra, maybe 8 to 10% more of the primary stat you're looking for, you lose about 30% of a combined total of stats, between all of them. So you might wonder, why the hell am I getting my ass kicked more? That might be the reason if you're just solely focused on one stat. So balance your units, balance your runes. It's all about balance. This is your boy Childish, concluding the 14th episode of Critical Thinking. It's Childish for ChildishPlays. Check it out. Take care. We'll see you next time.